Some games are nostalgic. That nostalgia sometimes stems from the knowledge that a game is a timeless classic. Games such as Ocarina of Time or Super Mario 64. Games that might be very old, but are so uniquely revolutionary that they defy time. But that nostalgia can also be brought on by games that, when you first played them, looked and played so incredibly that the image you have in your mind is of this perfect game with perfect graphics. One such game for me was Dishonored. I vividly remember these amazing graphics and incredible gameplay that I lost countless hours to. And as it turns out, one of us had never played this gem, and so we wanted to kill two rats with one grenade, so to speak, and talk about how some games sit on a pedestal in our mind, and if they actually deserve to. Welcome to Moose Tank, where we whisper and report about game development.
I'm Tess.
And I'm Viktor.
It's difficult judging a game through the filter of its time and what the technology was capable of. As a gamer, but also a developer, it's easy to get sidetracked about things that are either professional habits or personal preferences. Dishonored was yet another dizzy spell for me, since first person is too much camera panning. I did manage playing it for the most part though. That being said, it is going to affect my overall feel for the game. I'll try to let my biases for third-person games be bygones for this essay about Dishonored and if it's got the chops for the 2020s. As previously mentioned, it's hard to gauge where knowledge gets in the way of a personal experience of playing a game. As a gamer, I could notice weird shadows jumping on the roof instead of the ground, as much as a game dev is looking for bugs that need fixing. My little fix-it Tess brain finds lack of topology where there could have been more, but I'm only looking through the lens of the technological restrictions of 2026, not 2012 when the game was first released. The reason for some round objects being low poly could be because of that. Cylinders usually need more bevels to sell the roundness of it, and always offers a stylistic dilemma of, will it pass as stylized, or should we add another loop? And also the age-old question of optimization for smoother loading. As for the art, it's a bit low poly at times for real close-ups. When at distances, it's got a great painterly feel to it that I really like. The characters are also reminiscent of an early League of Legends arcane style, in the hand-painted facial features. The player in me definitely likes the style. It's a bit comical with the big hands on the characters, when nothing else is as stylistic in silhouette, but it stands out and I'm not against that. The game dev in me notices the same chair everywhere, and the same materials and trims on the walls. It certainly makes for less draw calls, but lacks variation. And draw calls are heavy on the graphic card for drawing information from materials and shaders. Every unique material creates a draw call, so it's easier to reuse a lot of existing materials and just change the colors in engine. The color drenching, where everything is the same color, in some rooms is also a bit much. It would have been enough to just change some of the colors of the walls. As a stylized game, it's fine to pump up the saturation, whereas it also has to make sense. The lights in a red room don't have to be red as well. We're using a blue lamp against a blue wall in the middle of the day to make a character pop. The same goes for the art collector's home, where the interior is flooded with blue and white light, as if the moon is shining through the newspapers on the windows. But outside it's sunny. I can concede on it being nitpicking. I first wanted to pick the art apart further, but the more I analyzed it, I understood the cohesion in colors and paint style. Through it, the art still holds up to this day, even under scrutiny. Maybe the choice of color drenching is also in contrast to the bleak outer city. The sewers and streets are all lacking in color, grey, brown and dull, while the rich and affluent get the relish in color and ornate furnishings. Even if red isn't a good complementary color to more red.
I'm fully aware of the rose-tinted glasses covering my eyes when it comes to this game. I've played it countless times over the years. It was the game that opened up my eyes for stealth immersive sims, and more notably, Arcane as a studio. I have since loved every game they released. We're pretending that Redfall never happened. I'm also fully aware that Dishonored is far from a perfect game. Playing it now, it's clear that what I see in my head when I picture the whale punk world of Dunwall and what is actually on the screen are a bit different. But that is also to be expected from a 14-year-old game. It's just not going to look as impressive as newer titles, or even some of its peers from the before times. One thing that does hold up extremely well, for me at least, is the art style. I'm just as in love with the gorgeous yet bleak world of Dishonored today as I was when I booted up the game for the first time as a little wide-eyed lad. Okay, I was 20 years old, but still. The painterly style, low poly as it may be, still looks absolutely incredible in my eyes when you take it as a whole. The art direction stands out as something unique and beautiful, even more so nowadays when so many games try to be as realistic as possible. And where's the fun in that? Reality is extremely limiting in that something can't look more realistic than reality, and reality seldom has much style. Games and animations have the very unique advantage because they don't have to adhere to the rules of reality, and I think more games should embrace that, even if it's only by a little. The character design is also very much up my alley. I really find the slightly exaggerated proportions very charming. It was the same when I played the first Fable game. I've also always had a thing for depressing, dystopian, steam, solar, cyber, whatever punk types of settings. Especially if you throw in a little bit of magic in the mix. I think that's why, when I first played Dishonored, I fell deeply in love with Dunwall and the surrounding lore.
The gameplay of Dishonored was really fun to get into after the opening sequence, although I found it harder to just sit and snipe, per se, when I knew it ticked up a chaos meter after each assignment. I like my assassin games where I can kill as many baddies as I can without detection, ranging from Ghost of Tsushima, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed and Last of Us. My gameplay got more complicated the more I tried to knock people unconscious instead, although my chaos meter never really changed. The game didn't explain if the bodies needed to be better hidden for better results, likely aiming for and correctly predicting crazy speedruns and strategic playthroughs. I really understand why you want to go back and do better. I also didn't want to read too much about the gameplay logic and instead try to experience it as a first-time player. I did find it hard to understand where my feet were at times, especially for a game that makes every ledge possible to zap to. It felt like I just had to play through it again and remember what worked and what didn't. But that was the feeling I got from the mission info blurbs about choosing your route. You can make it your own depending on playstyle. Possibly why I chose to get rid of every enemy in sight before finishing the mission, since I'm so used to that sort of gameplay in other games. I like those kinds of sneaky games better than just having a casual panic attack of missing an enemy that raises an alarm. I just want to cover my bases. But Dishonored hints at other ways of sneaking around and completing the missions. Oh well, back to stealth school for me.
Over the years since Dishonored was released, I've played the game in almost every possible way. Going full chaos and killing everyone in sight, to only using blink and nothing else. So I obviously like the game design, a lot. I think that all of the powers are exceptionally well designed, since they all contribute in some way to letting players play the game exactly as they want. There's not too many different powers that could risk making players feel overwhelmed. But there's also a lot of choices, even though the main power people use is blink. Because, let's face it, a lot of games unfortunately fail at designing power systems. It's either way too many different powers so that players never use more than one or two, or it's underdeveloped and none of the powers feel good to play around with. Arcane really struck a perfect balance for their power system, and for that they should be praised. The last thing I want to bring up is the story. It's a fairly well-known fact that the story is at best pretty good and at worst pretty bad. The climax of the game is often regarded as very milquetoast and the multiple endings are unnecessary. I agree on some points and disagree on others. I rather like that there are different endings depending on how much chaos you've built up during the playthrough. I do agree that the entire story can be rather meh, but then again, I don't play Dishonored for the story. I don't think most people do. The story is there and it's fine. It gives you a reason to get engaged. The reason why I love Dishonored so much is the gameplay. It's an exceptionally well designed game with wonderful art direction, but also one that is showing its age in some areas.
As a first-time player, I did enjoy Dishonored, as it took me a lot longer to get into the mechanics of stealth than other games. Challenges are always fun, and apart from a little nausea, the gameplay felt fresh and actually difficult. Especially since I don't know all the ways to use the powers, combined with the classic stealth and stalk approach of the targets. It takes a little practice, okay, a lot, and I can now fully enjoy trickshot compilations here on YouTube more, knowing the level of patience it requires. Kudos. If you've never played Dishonored and like stealth games, it might be something that you want to check out. I really enjoyed it. The sequel is, according to Viktor, also incredible with some of the best level design in history. You can quote him on this. Okay, it's a fact. He says it's a fact. Let us know if you want us to make a video about that, or any other subject in the comments. And until next time, see ya!
See ya!